Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. I'm Mandy, and here on this show, every week we interview some awesome people from around the country to bring you lifestyle tips and tricks and more. And this week we have this.
If you would have told me 30 years ago there would be congressional hearings in U.S. Congress about UAPs and UFOs, I would have said, you know what? That would be wonderful, but it will never happen.
You should definitely seek to create the kind of life that you want for yourself. Absolutely.
You know, it is a genre that is often, misunderstood, misrepresented, or even weaponized by other people to further their own agendas.
People don't understand how insurance works, that it's not to make you rich, it's to make you even, to put you back in the pre-loss condition. If every claim was to make you rich, our insurance costs would be much higher.
All that and more on Rise and Unwind.
You ever wonder what happens to a fighter after the cheering stops? Bang Bang follows a retired boxer trying to make good on family, on legacy, and on himself. It's gritty, it's grounded, and it's set against Detroit. Today we've got actor Andrew Liner, who plays Justin, joining us to dig into the story and work out what went into it. Welcome to the show, Andrew. How are you, my friend?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Can you give us a quick version? What is Bang Bang about, and who is Justin in this world with Tim Blake Nelson's Bang Bang?
Bang Bang is about Tim Blake Nelson's character, Bang Bang Bernard. And it follows the life after fighting. It's about what happens to a title fighter after they retire. I play his grandson, who he then starts coaching, and they start forming a connection, and they start, they need each other. They need each other. It's a important relationship. It's the father-son type of relationship. It's a coach to his athlete relationship as well. And we kind of explore the complexities of that father-son coach-athlete combination. And but really, it's about life after fighting for these people, for these boxers and these fighters, and where it can lead. And unfortunately, Bang Bang's story is not the worst of them all.
So what kind of training or prep did you do to get Justin believable in the ring and in some of those personal, quieter moments?
I like to work physically and then start going into the internal stuff. I put on 15 pounds of muscle, and I started boxing a lot more every day. And I grew up boxing a little bit, watching boxing, but all I was watching was boxing documentaries, fights, interviews, and all I was doing was kind of just training and boxing myself. So it was a physical and then into the internal. I think that exploring the quieter moments was, I was out there in Kentucky. It was by myself. I didn't really have anyone my age out there either. So it kind of became this cathartic experience that was, in a way, a parallel to Justin's quietness. So, yeah, I think athletes all feel the quiet at a point in time.
And you're opposite a heavyweight cast. What did you pick up working with Tim Blake Nelson and the rest of the ensemble?
Every actor was so unbelievably talented, but at the same time, the biggest thing that I learned was they all were true, and they were honest, and they were real, and they were just talking and listening. And it got to a point where everyone was trying a bunch of different things within the confines of continuity, within the confines of being real, and within the confines of their character. And I think that it, in a way, pushed me to start exploring that in myself, to start exploring, maybe I gotta swing bigger here, or just try this, or just try that, or in what's honest to me, and push myself to the best of my abilities, just like Tim did, and just like Erica did, and Glenn, and it's just, that's what it was inspiring. It was motivating, and it was, it was a blessing to just watch them work.
And what do you hope audiences feel walking out? What's the takeaway you kind of want them to sit with?
This is about a fighter after they're done. And I think that he is brash and he is abrasive and he's not the nicest guy at times, but I think that he is trying to do good. And I think that if you're in the pursuit of goodness, that's where we want to be. We want to be helping each other. We want to be, fighting for honor. We want to be forgiving and forgetting. And I think that Bang Bang is about that. I think that it is about the, rocky road of this post-life, this post-title fighter, this guy who is in the pursuit of goodness. And it's not pretty, but it's honest. And I think Justin needs him, and he shows up. He didn't have to. So they need each other. And I think we all need each other.
And you've got another big one coming up, working with Destry Spielberg on Please Don't Feed the Children. Yeah. How are you feeling heading into that?
Man, it's really exciting. I think that having that under my belt, having another job under my belt is really important. And I'm thankful to be working in a time in our industry where, we went from COVID to strikes to fires, and it's been bleak, and it's been, there's a lot of phenomenal actors that aren't working. I'm just blessed to be working and not only working, but working with Destry. It's a true blessing.
Andrew, thanks for joining us today. Bang Bang is now playing in select theaters with more cities rolling out across the country. Check your local listings to see where it's showing near you. Hey, Andrew, thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ancient Aliens is back with new episodes on History Channel, and the conversation has jumped from your TV to the stage. The live show, Ancient Aliens Live, is touring the country, and joining us today is the face of the series, Giorgio Tsoukalos. Giorgio, it's good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for having me on, and I'm doing great. Thanks very much. How about you?
I'm doing good. For the fans out there who only know about the TV series, what does this Ancient Aliens Live deliver that you can't get from a single episode? Is there a moment from it, from doing it, that has kind of surprised you too?
Absolutely, because Ancient Aliens Live is something to give back to the fans, because only the fans have kept us on the air for so long. Because without an audience, you can't be on the air. So thanks to all the fans for keeping on our lights. And so as a thank you, we are crisscrossing the U.S. together with myself, Jason Martell, William Henry, and Nick Pope, some of the stars of the show. And we present essentially a 90-minute immersive Ancient Aliens episode with photos, videos, discussions, and a Q&A at the end with the audience. And so if you want to see how we interact with each other and what our banter is, and if you want to hear us speak in full sentences, then this is a fun night out on the town for the whole family. And it's a little roller coaster around the world, full of adventure, exploring ancient mysteries. So come on down, check it out.
And the season feels bigger, with perspectives colliding, some new discoveries. In your words, what's new or evolved about Ancient Aliens right now?
Well, Ancient Aliens, we are now also covering modern aliens, because I've got news. They never left. They've always been here observing, because back then they were called the Watchers. Well, a watcher never stops watching. And so what were our ancestors referring to? They were referring to visiting extraterrestrials who imparted the first basics of science, mathematics, agriculture, engineering, all the medicine, all the astronomy, all these different things. And so I think that if you teach that to somebody, you never lose interest to observe their progress. And so I think that is what's going on right now. These increased UFO sightings up in the sky, I think it's them showing themselves slowly to illustrate, hey, you are not alone. And by the way, you've never been alone.
And skeptics are always asking for that strongest piece of evidence. The one thing that you kind of point to and say, let's start here. What is it for you and why?
So long ago, I would have completely answered this question differently, and I would have rattled off a whole list of what I find, concise evidence. However, over time, I learned that any skeptic in this is only ready to accept any of our propositions if they are ready for it. And so I don't care anymore if the skeptics agree with me or not. The evidence is there. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've been asked, I love ancient aliens, but how come you never show any evidence? Well, in the almost 300 episode we've done, it's all evidence. The evidence is in the episode. So this illustrates perfectly that what might be evidence to some is not evidence to someone else. And so time will tell. And I know that we are sitting on the right horse. And, we are in the paradigm shift already. I mean, if you would have told me 30 years ago there would be congressional hearings in US Congress about UAPs and UFOs, I would have said, you know what? That would be wonderful, but it will never happen. And only last week, a few days ago, there was the third congressional hearing about UAP/UFOs in the halls of Congress. I mean, we live in the most extraordinary of times.
And you guys often connect mythology, history, traditions. Where do you draw that line between legend and historical data?
Well, the line is that it is a fact that any legend, any mythology has to be rooted in some type of a reality, because not a single idea is born out of a vacuum. And so if you have, biblical stories of, let's say, Ezekiel, who is taken up by this glowing glory of the Lord, as he calls it, but then it descends and he sees that there's a wheel within a wheel, and it was as noisy as 1,000 waterfalls and things like that. So you have to ask yourself, wait a second, were these just visions? Did it all just happen in somebody's head because, they drank too much or they smoked one or two substances? That to me is insulting the intelligence of our ancestors. Our ancestors commemorated these things because they knew whatever they were observing was not ordinary. It was extraordinary because they lived in nature. They were way closer to nature than we will ever be in this day and age. I mean, they lived in nature. I mean, they had no shelter in the earliest of days. They had to find shelter. They had to, find food, hunter-gatherers. And so when you have the earliest of petroglyphs that have very strange beings in them, you have to wonder, well, how did they come up with this if there was nothing to base this upon? Because any psychiatrist or psychologist will tell you that you can't come up with a story unless you have a basis for it. And where is the basis at the beginning of history? There is no basis. We have a basis today, but back then there was no cumulative knowledge to draw from.
Giorgio, Tsoukalos, thanks for joining us today. Ancient Aliens airs Friday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on History Channel, and episodes available to stream the next day. For tour dates and tickets to Ancient Aliens Live, you got to check out ancientalienslive.tour.com. Giorgio, thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Wonderful, Dan, and I can't wait to do it again next time. Thank you.
Have you ever wondered what it's really like inside a plural marriage? TLC's hit series Seeking Sister Wife is back with new stories and familiar faces, exploring the ups and downs of polygamous relationships. One of those families is the Davises. Nick, April, and Jennifer are not only preparing to welcome another baby girl, but are also exploring the possibility of adding a longtime family friend as a potential sister wife. Welcome to the show, Nick, April, and Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, doing well, thank you.
Hi, thanks for having us.
All right, for those that are kind of new to the show, can you share a little bit about your journey as a family and kind of what led you to this plural marriage?
Just this unconventional lifestyle is just something that's always appealed to me for quite a while. And thankfully, at whatever point I met April, she kind of fell into it also. She noticed the benefits and recognized it as being something that she wanted to do also. And so we've just been steadily just building together, working on our family. We met Jennifer. Jennifer came along and she was with it too. So the three of us have been together for about 8 years now.
And this season highlights your friendship with Teresa. What made now the right time to explore whether she could be part of your family in a deeper way?
Yes, so this season you will see us courting Teresa. She's been friends with us for over 10 years. And honestly, it was the kind of thing where she approached Jenny and I. She knows that the women in our relationship do the initial seeking. And she made it very known to us that she has feelings for Nick and would like the opportunity to be able to date us and potentially become our sister wife. And so after some correspondence, we decided to go on a date.
And Nick, the show touches on your struggle moving from like best friend to husband. How are you working through that transition?
Oh, wow. It's not easy for me because just the way that I operate in life, I don't like mixing things up. I don't like mixing relationships. So I keep my boundaries very strict. So the time that Teresa has spent as my friend, she's just strictly been my friend, all the way platonic. So to try to move things over now after having so long where her and I were just buddies, if you will, it's definitely something that's not easy for me.
And with the new baby on the way, how does growing your family both add joy and maybe some challenges to this plural lifestyle?
Adding our baby Charlie is definitely, of course, been so overjoying to us. But also, it adds maybe another level of potential complication to adding a potential sister wife. That person is going to need to be okay with, young children and, a newborn in the house. So we want to make sure whoever's coming in is the most comfortable with that and, wants that sort of family lifestyle.
What do you hope viewers take away from your story this season, whether they agree with your choices or not?
Honestly, I think that the biggest thing is that you can have a happy and healthy relationship without it being society's traditionals type of norms. We do things completely different. We even do things a lot of times different than a lot of other polygamous families, and that's okay. And we want to show that you can do things differently and you're happy and have a good family home.
I'm not in any way trying to promote the idea that all men should be polygamous, but you should definitely seek to create the kind of life that you want for yourself. Absolutely.
And do the towels say his and hers and hers?
We definitely should get those. Absolutely.
All right, you three. You can follow the Davis family journey and meet the other families with the new season of Seeking Sister Wife, now playing on TLC. I want to thank you three for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Have you ever wondered about the stories behind some of heavy metal's most legendary and sometimes misunderstood figures? From Randy Rhoads to Dimebag Darrell, Wendy O. Williams to Judas Priest on trial, these are tales of creativity, tragedy, and survival. Hulu's new docuseries Into the Void takes us behind the curtain of metal to reveal the raw and very human stories behind the music. So joining me are the creators of the series, Evan Husney and Jason Eisner. Welcome to the show, you two.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks so much for having us.
All right, heavy metal has always carried a reputation for being extreme in sound and lifestyle. What made you want to explore the more human side of these artists in Into the Void?
Well, outside of, Jason and I growing up as huge metal fans, and any opportunity to make this your job is a total dream come true. Outside of our love and passion for, metal and wanting people to, appreciate the genre more, I think that metal is a very interesting world to examine because, as you said at the top of the show, it is a genre that is often, misunderstood, misrepresented, or even weaponized by other people to further their own agendas in many ways, historically, which, of course, our show examines throughout the 80s and early 90s. Yeah, and so I think it was an opportunity for us to kind of create a series that goes beyond just, their career trajectories, their albums, the process of writing music and their hit songs, to really reveal the human side of all these figures and artists in this world, and to really show that, they're much more than just their larger than life stage personas. These are regular people who go through the same things we do, tragedy, triumph, resilience, perseverance, and things like that. And it really gave us the opportunity to highlight that with this series, and any opportunity to get more people into the genre or to respect the genre, to understand it more, is definitely awesome and enough for me.
And the series, it spotlights icons like Randy Rhoads and Dimebag Darrell, but also figures people may not know like Anne Boleyn or the Iranian band Confess. How did you decide what stories you chose to tell?
Yeah, I mean, it was a real process of, picking some of the stories that, we felt that there was more space for even the most hardcore fan to learn something new about, in case of Randy Rhoads or the Dimebag Darrell story. But we also wanted the series to go deeper, and we wanted there to be a lot of discovery stories and stories from bands that you may never have heard of. And we really prioritized the strength of that human story in the episode to kind of guide us in terms of which ones we were going to pick. And I'm very excited for people to understand, or to really discover the music of Enemy and the jaw-dropping story behind that band, and as well as somebody like Anne Boleyn of the band Hellion, who really should have made it and did make it, didn't make it in the industry. And of course, we're going to get into all the reasons why that was, which really makes it definitely a cautionary tale.
And one of the more striking episodes is about Judas Priest being put on trial, accused of influencing a tragedy. What is that moment, or any other moment within the series that talk about the cultural battles metal has faced?
Well, in particular, sorry, I feel like I'm Jason, if you want to hop in, but for me, it's like I feel with that story in particular, it's very relevant to now. I mean, Judas Priest, that story and everything that happened in terms of, really looking at sort of a conservative, Christian movement in the 80s that was sort of looking at metal as this very evil, thing that was corrupting youth. It was causing teenage delinquency. It was inspiring crimes and things like that. And they sort of weaponized the genre to further their own cause. And that really caused that spiraled off into the PMRC and other things and other forms of censorship with heavy metal for a long time. And I feel like there was sort of a prophecy in terms of what all of the metal artists of that era were fighting against, that we're sort of seeing coming into fruition now. And I think in terms of free speech and in terms of other things. So I really do feel like it's very prescient to look at these stories from the past and sort of look at what we can learn from them in terms of, the freedom of artistic expression, trying to be put under attack and trying to be, harnessed and taken away.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot for people to learn from our episode on Confess, who are this a metal band from Iran who were persecuted for their music that spoke out about religion and the government. And they were actually arrested by the government for their music and were facing very serious jail time. And they had to flee their country to be able to pursue their art and their freedom of expression. And so I think that's definitely an episode I think that's going to feel very timely right now.
Exactly.
I want to thank you two for joining me today. All 8 episodes of Into the Void are now streaming on Hulu. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's a powerful look at the legends, the overlooked trailblazers, and the stories that continue to shape heavy metal culture today. I want to thank you two for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Prices are going up on just about everything, but there's another factor driving costs that might surprise you: lawsuit abuse. It's an issue that affects families, businesses, and even the cost of your insurance. Joining us is Lynn McChristian from the University of Illinois to explain what's happening and what can be done. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Lynn, we see so many lawyer commercials all day. How do those ads end up leading to more lawsuits?
Well, one thing is that some of those lawyer advertisements are deceptive and they're aggressive, and so what they make people think is that you need a lawyer every time you have to file an insurance claim. This is not true. They make people think that every insurance claim is a big payday for the victim, when in actuality, it might just be a big payday for that lawyer. We all pay more for costs of goods and services because that cost of litigation is impacting what we pay. It trickles down to the consumers. So really, understanding that dollar amount that's advertised on that billboard is not what the individual gets. It's very rare. And again, you don't need that lawyer to get satisfaction from an insurance claim.
What does all of this mean for families when it comes to the cost of living?
Well, one thing that we have found is there's a recent survey that shows that people pay for an individual about $1,600 more a year for an individual and $5,200 more for a family for goods and services, not just insurance. Insurance is also higher because what insurance is, it's the cost of claims. So if the cost of claims goes up, everybody in that risk pool winds up paying more. They have no involvement in the lawsuit, but the cost of claims is unnecessarily high. If we have people understand that you do not need a lawyer, you do not need to file a lawsuit every time you have a claim, the cost of insurance can be kept in check. That's all lines of business, auto, home, and your health insurance.
If someone is thinking about a lawsuit, what should they keep in mind?
I think they should think about time and money. So an insurance company has trained professionals to help you settle an insurance claim. Give them a chance to do that. The lawyer advertisement, part of the deception is to say, call a lawyer first. Well, I'm advocating for calling your insurance company first. Give them a chance to settle the claim. The other thing is there's also a backup from the state insurance department. They have consumer representatives to help you through the claims process as well. And then a lawyer should not be your first cost. Again, claim satisfaction is high with insurance companies. Most people don't know that, but give them a chance to give you satisfaction and not make every claim a payday for a lawyer when you can actually probably get just about the same amount of money if you went directly to get that claim settled.
My mom was an insurance adjuster. She'd be really happy with this answer.
Well, I'm happy too. If people don't understand how insurance works, that it's not to make you rich, it's to make you even, to put you back in the pre-loss condition. If every claim was to make you rich, our insurance costs would be much higher. That's not the way it works.
What steps could help lower these costs for everyday people?
Well, we're looking at common sense reforms to make sure that the lawyer advertising isn't deceptive, it isn't misleading. Also, reforms that address something that's called litigation funding. You know, Amanda, there are investors who are the catalyst for a lot of lawsuits. They front the money for people to file more lawsuits, and then they take a cut of that money. Sometimes there's not transparency about who those funders are. The other thing people don't realize is that whatever that high dollar amount settlement, it doesn't go to the individual. 20 to 40% of whatever that settlement is goes to the lawyer and those funders. That is something that needs to be made clear, and reforms can address that.
You've given us a lot to think about this morning, Lynn. Where can viewers go if they want more information?
I would suggest they look at the website of the American Property Casualties Insurer Association, and that is apci.org.
Thanks so much for being here with us this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for tuning in and checking out Rise Unwind. If you want to see some behind the scenes and other fun stuff, be sure to visit our website at riseunwindtv.com. Follow us on your socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Rise Unwind. And that was our show this week. You take care, and we'll see you on Rise and Unwind.